My views on the Roswell UFO incident in the USA. They found alien ships and their remains, but then moved them to some secret location. They must have been in contact with them. That's a very interesting question. So, how many of you actually believe that aliens have actually visited the our planet? Just say yes or no in the comments. Do you actually believe that aliens have visited our planet? Because when I was a kid, I was fascinated with this. I wanted to read about aliens all the time, alien encounters and all that. So yeah, it's very interesting. No, no. Abhi says yes. Sovik says yes. Anand says yes. Ramana says yes. Aryan says yes. Wine Gaming says no. Arjun says no. Cherry says yes. So I think most of us, Harshada says no. I think Harsh says possibly. I think the overall consensus seems to be towards a belief, or yeah, towards a belief that aliens must have visited us. I am a little skeptical about this, right? Because we don't have hard evidence. So here's my view on the Roswell. Okay, first of all, what do we know about this incident? So this is something that happened in 1947, I think. Okay, uh, in the first half of the year in 1947. So what happened was that uh, something crashed from the sky, which looked like it was out of the earth. It was nothing like something. It was nothing that would be made on the earth. That sort of thing. It was metallic. The crash debris were metallic and very strange. And it was even announced in the local newspaper that the local police department or whoever the authorities were, they had recovered a crashed flying saucer. That, I think, that was the headline in the newspaper. And a couple of days later it was changed to say that this was actually a weather balloon. And there's been allegations of a cover up for decades. This has been going on. And people say it is alleged by various people that it was indeed a UFO, and there were even aliens in there. A couple of aliens had died, and maybe one or two were recovered alive, and they were taken away somewhere. There were alien autopsies apparently, and so on. And then all the debris of this flying saucer were carted off somewhere else, and they maybe are in Area 51 or something like that. So that is what is believed by a great many people. Now the US authorities deny this. They say it was a weather balloon. So there was something called Project Mogul that was going on at the time. So this was a project in which the Americans would uh, place highly sensitive microphones and other equipment on weather balloons high up in the atmosphere, in the with the aim of listening to certain kinds of sonic signals, acoustic signals that would indicate a far away nuclear explosion. So we know that the Soviets and the Americans were engaged in this nuclear arms race. The Soviets were testing nuclear weapons at the time. It was done, these were atmospheric tests, which means that these nuclear weapons were detonated above the surface of the earth. Later on it was mostly underground, but at the time it was atmospheric tests. And these sound waves of these explosions would travel around the globe, but after they went far enough they would not really be that detectable. So the aim of Project Mogul was to place highly sensitive microphones and other equipment high up in the atmosphere on weather balloons and listen for such signals. And the US authorities say that it was one of these weather balloons with all the assorted equipment that crashed in Roswell, New Mexico. And the equipment was highly scientific and all that, various kinds of complicated apparatuses, all that. And that's why it looked like it's something from out of the world. So that's what the US government clarified in the 1990s, I think. So there were some clarifications there were issues issued by the authorities, US authorities, in the 1990s, I think in the 1990s. And yet there's been a lot of skepticism about that. So many people still believe that there's a cover up that has happened. So what do I know? I mean, unless you're part of some secret society, Ashok's 9 secret men or something, unless you're part of that, you won't know about this. So I don't know. Okay, whatever information we have is in the public domain. uh, the American authorities say that it's been debunked comprehensively. Ufologists, they say that it's not been debunked, and they are trying to cover it up. So the jury is still out there. I am skeptical by nature. That's what you have to be as a scientist. You have to be skeptical. You have to always look at the more rational explanation. And I would say that the more rational explanation would be a weather balloon or something like that. And yet there is always the possibility. I don't think they have been able to comprehensively prove that this was just a weather balloon. It's just a claim. It's one claim another against another claim. So unless we actually are given the evidence, we can't really tell. So I think the jury is still out there. 90% I would say it's not an alien thing, but maybe 10% it may have been. So that's where I am about this. I am skeptical, but I'm still open minded. It possibly may have been an alien spacecraft, but so the evidence may have been even destroyed by now. We don't know where it is. So how do we prove that aliens have visited or are visiting? Well, we have to find good evidence today. These days you have all this media frenzy about alien visitations, UFOs and all that, especially in North America. I think only in North America. So I would like to see evidence from that, not from the US government, but from civilian sources. Something that some alien UFO phenomenon that is captured on camera, not black and white grainy footage, but proper footage, and not just one person, but many people simultaneously. Then I would really believe it. So that's what we still seek, and so that's where we are today, as regards with regards to UFOs.